Okay, my name is Vincent. I'm the secretary for Alabama ASSP. We are doing Zoom. I don't know if everybody knows that we do record them. Tom Tenick couldn't be here today, illness, so we pray that he's doing fine. We expect him to be up around soon. Justin had some busyness that he had to work on. He's busy with the job, so he couldn't be here, which leaves it to me to stand before you and get things started. So we're going to first pledge allegiance. We're going to do prayer. We'll introduce our speaker. After that, if there are any announcements, we'll go ahead and do those. And since it's a small group, we will, after any announcements, go ahead and shut the Zoom down and just kind of fellowship. We won't have any extra meeting things that we'll do after that. So we'll go ahead and get started. If we stand and pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Dear Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We're thankful to be able to help you in the quest of taking care of our employees, of our friends, of our associates. Thank you for giving us the wisdom through classes like these, through times like these, and the right contacts to be able to help our people be safe. Please bless them through us. Please bless the food we're about to receive for the nourishment and health of our bodies. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you very much. Tom Kalis is going to be talking to us about Danny, I'm sorry. Danny, I'm there. I got Tom on brain. Danny Kalis is going to be talking to us today. We'll let him introduce what he's going to work with.
Good afternoon. My standing room only crowd. Yes, we were standing during the pledge, so that's really cool. I've been in safety since 1975, which is kind of a long time, and been active with ASSP for a long time, and then ABC and AGC and a lot of different groups. And but a couple of years ago, I came up with this subject as far as biological hazards, and because we have dangerous critters on our work site, and so people say no one ever talks about this. Well, last week on the news, they talked about Lyme disease and ticks and all that kind of stuff. But I had a friend that was bitten in the leg, and he didn't tell anyone, and he didn't go to the doctor, and his leg got hard and stiff, and finally went to the emergency room. They put him in there, and that night he ended up having a blood clot. He got up to use the restroom. They told him not to move, and the blood clot broke loose and went to his heart and killed him. And so this is something that happens. People are aware of it, but they're not aware of it. It happens to thousands of workers. We're exposed to this stuff. So we're going to make it kind of interesting. And we have poisonous spiders. Okay. And we have them at work and we have them at the house. So we're going to talk about some of them. You know, what happens if you get bit? Where do you get bit? By the way, this presentation is going to be with ASSP. And so if anyone wants a copy of it, it's free. Okay, don't be afraid. I don't have a problem sharing my information because I steal it. So I don't mind. And we all do it out. So we're going to talk about several things right here. Here's a brown recluse. A lot of people have heard of a brown recluse. And there's some different things. And you can get a little dark blister, but the skin's going to start rotting away too. And that makes a difference. You want to go to the doctor with these. The symptoms, it's painful after a couple of hours. And then nausea, vomiting, itching, bite, fever, chills. And so this is something you need to go to at least a doc in a box, let them look at it. Okay. Remember, this is workers' comp. What happens if you get bit by a spider, by a snake, by a tick, and you don't do anything, in about 4 or 5 days from now, when it gets serious, now you're going to tell your boss that I got bit a week ago? Is it really workers' comp then? You didn't report it. It's important to report any injury, and this is an injury. And then, of course, we got the black widow. Everyone's heard of a black widow. They've seen the black widow. It's a little more potent venom than the brown recluse, but it can cause muscle cramp and abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, shortness of breath, elevate your blood pressure. People actually die from being bit. Just depends on your severity and your health conditions to begin with. And then we have a hobo spider. And some people question not whether a hobo spider is even poisonous, but let me tell you, it can be. When we talk about spiders and ticks, if you can, especially when it comes to ticks and stuff like that, if you can kill it, don't squish it too bad, but put it in a bag and take it with you so they know what tick it is. Now, I say that with spiders and ticks. When we get into snakes, don't bring a snake with you, okay? Because if you walk into the emergency room, you know there's an hour to 2 hour wait. You bring in a snake with you, that person taking care of you is going to have a heart attack. Now you're going to be delayed about an hour. It's going to be treated first. So don't be crazy, but it's important anytime to make sure that day that you go get it reported. So it's something small and they give you a shot or two, okay, before it develops. And so those are some nasty wounds. It's not right then, but a day, 2 days, 3 days from now, we can have some serious complications. Look on that one. First day, didn't bother you, just a little bite. But by the time you get to day 6, day 9, day 10, if you have not reported it because of workers' comp, okay, that's going to be you're going to be off work for quite a while. You're going to have surgery. It's going to cost money. So anytime there's a problem, we want to make sure we tell somebody about those issues. I like this one. Are you sure spiders are gone? I don't know about you, but I'm a wuss when it comes to stuff like that. I don't like that kind of stuff, but they're out there and it happens. And then we have ticks, and this is serious stuff. Years ago, you never talked about ticks, but now they do. And we got 3 different ones here. This one here, the Lone Star tick, okay? Every one of us look different. It's important to know what kind of tick it is because of the infection you can get. This one right here can cause you to be allergic to red meat. Okay, that lasts between 1 year to 5 years.
So it does go away?
It can go away.
Or can.
Okay, but normally they say up to 5 years. Okay.
But I mean, I don't ever want that to happen.
It's got the wood tick, and it can cause Rocky Mountain spotted fever. There's only 2 hospitals in the United States that actually treats that or specializes in this. All the hospitals, there's very little known about this, and this can be it can be deadly. Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Okay, and it happens. And then we have this one, and this is the one people really need to be aware of. This black-legged tick or the deer tick. You see, these things aren't very big. Okay, remember, if you get bit, we want to know about it. And when you go for treatment, we want to kind of know what kind of tick it is, because this one here causes Lyme disease, and Lyme disease can be a killer. When you get Lyme disease, now there's several counties here in red where people have died with Lyme disease. Okay, and if you get it, it zaps your energy. You immediately want to go to the doctor, because a lot of times you get a little red target right here. Okay, we want to go, and they're going to start immediately. They're going to start different shots whatever, some anti-sulfur type thing that they give this to you, because it will zap your energy. It's very painful. It's hard to sit up. You'll be off work. If we're lucky in 60 days or so, you're pretty well okay. But if not, it gets worse. And if they don't cure it within about 10 months, you start blood transfusions. And normally that is good for about 4 or 5 years. And then you're dead from a tick. So this is something we don't fool with. Okay. It's very serious that we talk about it because it happens. This is how you remove ticks. Okay. We don't use matches, especially when you got kids outside playing and they come in and they got a tick on them. So daddy gets out a lighter. Let's scorch them. So they have a fear of lighters for the rest of their lives. No, we want to, they have these tweezers. They come in, they have them at Walmart. They have them at tractor, the tractor places, and they're about $2. Another good thing that helps is some people say nail polish. And I find with kids, if you put toothpaste on it, the tick has to back out. It can't breathe. Okay. Kids aren't afraid of toothpaste. Sometimes they won't brush their teeth, but they won't be afraid of it. But it'll back out. And that's the important thing is to make sure we get, you can also use a pincher, but you got to get really close and make sure that when you pull that out, the head of it, it comes out, not that the pincher stays in there, because then it can get infected. So we don't want to mess around with, and then we have scorpions. Okay. This can be in a basement, it can be in a garage, it can be, we're going to be moving, it can be in a work connect, on a job site or something like that. You got tools that we haven't used forever. Now let's load up. We got a job in Mississippi, and let's go through it. Or you send the Connex there, and then we'll just clean it up when we get there. That's not a good thing. And then we have centipedes. Look at those pinchers. Kids think centipedes are caterpillars. Okay, they're not killers. This is not a killer. But if you're allergic to it, it affects different people different ways. Okay. If you have any of these, I find some every once in a while on a porch. If you have one or two of these, leave it alone. Don't kill it. Okay. It'll leave you alone. It kills mosquitoes and other spiders. So it's good. Now, if you have more than 2 of them, you need to start stepping on them. You don't need a bunch of them, but 1 or 2 of them is not a bad thing. And then we have bees and wasps. And there are a lot of people allergic to bees and wasps. And when I ask at safety training, I said, how many allergic? There's always 1 or 2, okay? And we'll have 30 people in class, 1 or 2. I said, you carry an EpiPen with you? No. I have to carry an EpiPen, or my grandson has to carry, we have to carry it with him. He races dirt bikes. And he's highly allergic. He almost died when he was like 7 years old. He was drinking a can of Mountain Dew, and it stung him in the mouth, the tongue. He swelled up. So he goes every place we go. He carries an EpiPen. So it's kind of serious. And so I added a few things. Like bees are cute and they're friendly. They have a soft butt. They help the environment. Okay, they're loyal. They ride, they die. Don't kill them. Now wasps are mean, ugly, literally serve no purpose. Go ahead and kill them. We had one of our iron workers, when we were doing a paper mill job, he took this panel off this piece of equipment and he got stung 13 times. We immediately took him to the hospital. We didn't know if he was allergic or not, but we weren't going to stick around and wait. And we weren't far from medical. So we took him there and they gave him some shots, but he had no reaction.
I mean, even if you're not allergic, 13 can cause, you can take a single and it hurts and be fine, but
Yeah.
sometimes 13 to, and 10 or more can really cause problems.
Absolutely, they can. And so he was kind of a big old guy, and he did cry, and I cried too because he was crying, but I was so thankful it was him and not me.
Tears of joy.
But so what we ask people, what I try to ask people, if they're allergic or not, no. One of the good things to have is Benadryl, Claritin, one of these three in a first aid kit. It's not a cure-all, but it helps until we can get them some help. Okay, and then they got something new that I wanted to share with you. They have devices like this that are beginning to replace the EpiPen. Okay, this right here, when you pull that down, it talks to you like an AED. It tells you how to use it. And so they're still expensive. You know, none of this stuff is cheap, but I've seen a couple of those now, and it's very helpful. And then we have ants. Especially this time of year, I've been in the old house we had ants get into the air conditioning unit because there was some moisture in there, and they destroyed that unit. But these can be very painful because when they bite, it's not one. They wait like they're 10 or 12, and then they go after you, and they can be, they're again poisonous. I was at a wedding, and we had a guest, and we're standing next to each other. She got me about 13, 14 times. A guy went out to got his suitcase out of his suitcase. He got stick deodorant, and he rubbed the stick deodorant on it, and it dried it up.
A particular time, I mean, like the
I
gel.
didn't ask what the brand it was, but you know, so now when I travel, I keep about 4 or 5 different sticks of deodorant. You can tell when you get ants, but they can't be, you know, some people can be allergic to them. They are painful, and so insect bites are normally more painful than they are deadly, but they can cause a reaction, and depending on your physical condition, it can affect people different. You know, kids, elderly, old men, they're afraid of insects and bugs and spiders. So then we are blessed in Alabama to have snakes, and there's no such thing as a good snake. Now, farmers disagree with me. We'll share 1 or 2 of them. That is a good snake because it kills poisonous snakes and all that. But we have them. By the way, if you get bit by a snake, UAB is the only hospital in about 4 or 5 counties that carries anti-venom. Anti-venom is very expensive. It's about $5,000–6,000 a vial. It takes about 2 vials when you get you get it. So, but you want to go to the nearest hospital with it, and I'm going to share with you why. An adult snake doesn't normally inject you with all its venom. They're as afraid of you as you are of them. And it's very painful for a snake to process and get more venom back in if they get rid of it. A baby snake is totally different. A baby snake cannot control its venom. And that's why some people say baby snakes are more deadly. They're not more deadly. They just don't know how to control it. If an adult snake comes after you, you got a problem. Okay, it gives you all it's got. So let's talk about some. We do find them in the job site. You do find them in a job site, in job trailers. Okay, I was on a job site, and the guy said, over there they got some black tarp. They did some excavating, and they put the black tarp for soil erosion. The guy said, you might want to be careful over there because of the heat. You know, it was like in February. He said, because of the heat with the black tarp, snakes are over there. And that job lasted about a year, and I never went over by the tarps. You know, it didn't matter how cold it was or how hot it was. If there's snakes, I don't want to be there. This picture in the middle, I was doing some training, unfortunately, due to a death. And we were doing crane training. And we were inside their training center. And I said, such a pretty day. Let's go out and get on the boom truck and do some rigging training, hands-on. And we walked outside, and there was a bunch of snakes. Needless to say, that was the end of the hands-on training. We went back inside. That scares me. It should scare anybody. It scared the owners of the company, and they had to bring experts in to remove all the snakes. So we do have poisonous snakes, and the Western Diamondback is the largest, but we find all kinds, including Everyone's heard of a timber rattler. Pygmy rattlers, some people have never heard of a pygmy rattler. And we have more issues with pygmy rattlers than ever before. Our guy, our bug man, was by the house the other day, and we were talking about it. We had a pygmy rattler a couple of months ago in our yard. And the guy said, we've had so many calls on pygmy rattlers. I didn't even know what a pygmy rattler was.
I thought they were mostly Florida species. I didn't know they were up this far.
Oh, yeah, they're here. So there's a western diamondback. Look at that guy's hand, okay? Again, we want to go to the doctor. That's a little thing about baby snakes, you know, because a lot of people say that they're more dangerous. We don't need to play with them. And when I see kids playing in the yard, well, it's only a garden snake. How do I know if it's a garden snake? I'm not gonna get that close to it. And we have a pygmy rattler, and you see this right here? You see the leg? When you go to the hospital, you want to go to the hospital, okay? They're gonna mark where you were bit. And then every so many minutes or a half hour or 20 minutes, they're gonna come back and they're gonna mark it again to see if that venom is traveling up, okay? Sometimes it's not because you didn't receive that much venom, depending on what they got. If it is, then we have some questions to ask. One, do you want to go to the UAB by ambulance, or you want a courier service to bring the anti-venom to you? Okay, they frown heavily on just releasing you for you could drive down there by yourself, because if you don't drive down there, they're going to be liable. So it's serious stuff. And of course, this is a timber rattler. They like to climb trees. So for people who don't like kids in a neighborhood, I'll build them a tree fort and then plant one or two timber rattlers. Don't do that. But if you have a tree stand and a hunting camp, you might want to check it out before you just go climbing out there with a gun. And there's a pygmy rattler. That's an adult pygmy rattler. Okay, that rattle is so small, it doesn't make a sound like a rattle. Okay, it's more like a hummingbird or a bumblebee. Okay, it's not very big, but it can do some damage. It can do some damage. I mean, it is venom. It is a poisonous snake. Okay, so now you know what a pygmy rattler. And when people show pictures, I'm going like, oh well, what kind is it? I don't know. It's not a friendly one. And then we have a cottonmouth, water moccasins. And I was doing some training, and this guy had a hat on. It was made out of rattlesnake skin, and they called him Snake Man. And he was very helpful talking about when people had questions on the snakes and all that. And he said, they're not very aggressive. They're not very. I said, really? You're telling me a water moccasin is not aggressive? And anyone who's ever been on a lake knows that they are aggressive. They will come after you. And then I love these pictures when they say, look at the eyes, non-venomous, and here's the venomous. Do you think I'm gonna get that close to an eyeball? That snake is coming, I'm leaving. Okay? And I got a great story. I had a great grandmother that lived to be 102, and she was a character. And she lived in Wisconsin. I had two uncles that had lake homes. You know, if she was in her 90s, she'd go up and spend a couple of weeks with each one of them, you know. And then every day she'd get a little straw hat on, her cane pole, you know, and she'd head to the boat. Of course, in her little tackle kit, she had her Irish whiskey and her Lucky Strikes. So she goes out fishing. She comes back. My uncle goes down to help her out, and suddenly he's flying across the pier and falls into the water. A water moccasin had jumped in her boat. She took the oar and she killed it. Said, Mom, why didn't you just throw that in the water? Well, if I would have thrown that in the water, you would have said I had too much Irish whiskey. You wouldn't let me take it again. But life goes on. They are aggressive. Okay. And then we have copperheads. I don't like copperheads either. I have some beautiful flowers in my yard and all that. All my flower beds, you won't find any pine straw. And I'm not gonna let them hide. And they like to be a lot of them. If you see a baby, if you see a mama, there's a bunch of babies around too. Okay. And so there again, there's that leg that we got bit, when they do the marking, the hand starts swelling. See what happens if you don't go right away. Okay, so you want to go when I see one in the alleyway, because I have all these flowers and all the pine trees up on top of the hill. When I see one coming down the alleyway, I go thump, 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 thump. Okay, and then I back up and go thump, thump, thump. And then when I pull out, if I don't see that snake, I'll drive 2 miles to make sure that that snake isn't stuck in my wheel well. I do not like snakes at all. And then here's one, here's 2 of them. You got a coral snake and a king snake. Farmers love king snakes because they kill other poisonous snakes and rodents. So they're very helpful on the farm. So there are some good snakes, but they look a lot alike. Orange, yellow, touch, and red is one's a good fellow, and one's a deadly fellow. There's a slogan.
Red and black, friends like Jack, red and yellow kill a fellow.
See that? I forgot that already. I don't want to know, but someone in the class always knows that. And I just want you to know, coral snakes, they're one of the things that they're different. Their fangs are in the back. So when they bite down, they'll rip your skin. Okay. But their venom is a little bit different, but there's only one anti-venom. So it doesn't really matter what snake it is. Okay, now if it's some exotic snake, you're gonna die. It doesn't matter what kind of venom it is. And there's not that many people actually die from snake bites. Okay, back in the old days, they had this on the first aid kit, you had this little snake kit. And you had this like a little plastic thing, a rubber thing, and you suck it out. But they don't want you to do that anymore. They don't want that thing moving around, the venom move around in your blood system. So you just leave it alone, you go get some help. Okay, I do have a great story though about snakes. I was at one of my favorite customers in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he said, "Danny, you coming out for the outage?" I said, "I'll be there for 2 weeks." He said, "Would you come and talk to the men's fellowship?" He said, "You always got some interesting stories. Would you tell?" And so I said, "Yeah, I'll be." So I went to the dinner. There were about 50, 60 men there. We had a great time. He said, "You want to stay for the service?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be glad to." So I'm kind of grew up Catholic, and we're kind of quiet. Every once in a while, we do a little sign of the cross and all that. But we stand, we sit, a lot of exercising, but we're not very vocal. And I sat next to this lady, and suddenly she was getting a little loud. And she started waving the hand. That still doesn't bother me. But when she started talking in tongues, it's kind of like, I won't say it scares me, but it scared me. And suddenly the door opens, and here comes a guy with a snake. I got up, I left. He said, "I didn't see at the end what happened." I said, "Why didn't you tell me it was a snake?" And I don't know what, all I know is on the sign when I was leaving, it said primitive something or other. So if I ever go to a church, whether it's a wedding or whatever, when I look at the announcement, if it says primitive something, I don't go. It's good. I don't fault if anyone believes that, but stay away from me. And we can have some issues, you know, from snake bites. And it doesn't happen overnight, but we want to get treatment right away. And that's a picture of me and my wife. We went to Alaska last year, 3 years trying. We finally went. One of the greatest things besides the scenery, there are no snakes in Alaska. So we are going to go back. So it's just incredible. By the way, that was on top of a glacier, 1,400 feet thick. And then, you know, unfortunately this year we've had on the Gulf Coast, I think 13 deaths so far, drowning. But there are other things that are there. And this is the Gulf Coast. This is where we go on vacation. We are talking about Gulf Shores. We're talking about the Mobile area, Pensacola, Panama City. We're not talking about South Africa or New Zealand or someplace. We're talking about right here in Alabama. So let's talk about some of the things that we have. They have flags up, and everyone's seen a red flag and a double red flag. We know that has to do, but they also have blue and they have purple. And that's because of sea mammals. Okay, and so let's talk about them just a little bit. Sea snakes. Sea snakes are more deadly than land snake. The good thing is they have shorter fangs, and so it doesn't bother scuba divers because it's hard for that to bite into the wetsuit. But I don't know about you, but when I'm at the beach, I'm not wearing a wetsuit. You know, and I'm not going in that water. I like the pools. I like a hotel with a pool. I don't like to get in that water because I don't know what's in there. And when I go in the water and I try to get out, kids pull me back in thinking I'm a beach whale. So it's no fun. Okay. And then we have, everyone knows about jellyfish. You know, they're very they sting and they burn and hurt. And then we have a stonefish, and the stonefish, that's its mouth. And there's venomous inside they have these spines that can bite them. So this is what we have, and you can't see that water. It's not emerald clear anymore. Okay. And then we have the lionfish. One of my favorite places to eat down in Gulf Shores is cobalt. And that's one of the delicacy. But down on when they have fishing tournaments, the state actually pays a bounty on lionfish because they're predators. They eat shrimp. So they like to get rid of them. But if you get bit with that, your hand will swell twice the size in about an hour. Okay. And then here's a good one, this little blue ringed octopus. It's the size of a golf ball, but it has enough venom to kill 26 humans. Okay, good luck going to the beach next week, guys. Don't want to be spoiling it. And then we have alligators. This is thank you to Couch Aggregate. I get to go down to and do MSHA training for them, and they do a lot of dredging, so there's water. Okay, and there's alligators. Every lake now has alligators. And so, you know, you just need to know there's alligators out there, and they can be dangerous. They do climb fences, and there's a snapping turtle. And I just, you know, when the guy says, you want to go down to the barge? Yeah, I'm going down, or the dredge. Yeah, but I'm going to be riding in their car because it's got big, tall wheels. And just for me, since I'm short, they carry a little ladder so I can climb up and get in there. So, but they have them. And then poison oak, poison ivy. What's bad about this on a construction site, when we're clearing the land, we burn it. We burn it. Forget about just rubbing against it and get something. But when you burn it, you inhale that. When you inhale those fumes, it can be deadly. Okay, so if you're going to be burning a bunch of bushes, I know people are tired of wearing a mask and all. It's good to wear a respirator because you don't know what's in there. And then the last thing we'll talk about are dogs. Packs of dogs. Okay, how to handle it. There are over 5,000 postal workers that are bit every year. Let's say you've heard on the news and all that, a guy that goes outside and a neighbor kid is being bit, being attacked by dogs. Okay, the last thing you do is charge the dog. You do not charge the dog, because if you do, the dogs are going to be more aggressive, bite down harder, and pull back. You want to get its attention. When you get its attention, then what are you going to do? Okay, it's great to say you have a gun, but I just want you to know what happens. Now, if you get out in the field and you're out there working and there's a pack of dogs, you want to back up against the building, a fence, a truck, something, and then you're going to decide what dog you're going to attack. You see what I said? Because if not, they're all going to attack you. You hopefully have a stick, a bat, a golf club, something. And when you go after that, once you make the decision, go for it. You do not hit them over the head. You hit them in the shins. That's the weakest part of a dog. You hit them in the shins, they're going to fall to the ground. When they fall to the ground, the other dogs will attack the wounded dog and you get out. Now, some municipalities have gotten like these pop-up dog barriers. They're like an umbrella. You know, the one where you push the button, it goes whoop. And on that umbrella, they have 2 eyes and teeth. Okay. And so one of the cities that I do training for, the guy was telling me that they made them do away with the spray because it's bad for the environment. You know, I don't know what to tell you, but a dead employee is bad for the environment too. But they did away with the spray, so he got one of these batons, okay, umbrellas. And so there was a dog, and he got that umbrella out and went, whoo, and that dog just attacked that umbrella, and it was really cool. You know, he said, I got away. And then later on, I went and got the, and it was all chewed up. He gave it to his boss. And they gave him another one. He said the disappointing thing was he got $67 payroll deduct for another umbrella. So needless to say, he said he went out and bought some spray. The heck of the environment. So as I said, over 5,400 postal workers are attacked every day. Have a plan, know what to do. Keep them safe in training. By the way, that's my grandson. He races dirt bikes, and next week he'll be going to Loretta Lynn's for the national championship for the 5th time. Last year he finished 5th in the world, which is pretty cool. And so we're excited about him. But thank you. If you guys have any questions, you want to talk about some slick, there's some scary stuff in there, but these things can happen at work or at the house. How do you act? You know, you need to talk about it because these things, incidents can happen. So thank you.
Any questions or anything?
That's great.
Wow, I mean, I'm surprised. Oh, thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Do have the cup for you.
Thank you.
Get Steve to take a picture.
I would say be pretty, but Vincent.
Hey,
I think we got some good
pick
ones.
another one, make sure there's no snake or. Thank
That
you.
was good. I'm gonna encourage people to just follow up on that one. Listen to it. If they weren't here, that was surprising. Okay, any announcements or anything that we have?
Can I make?
Sure.
In October, 1st of November, we have the Mine Conference in Birmingham at Ross Bridge. But we have a pre-conference, which is an 8-hour class for millwrights, maintenance, and construction workers, okay? And I know people say, well, it's for the mining industry. No, it's at a mine conference. And half the people that attend have nothing to do with mining. This is some great speakers, heavy hitters. We all know Frank Wampel and Bob Fitzgerald and Steve Sawyer. And so we have some heavy hitters. And you can go on the website, just look at the Southeast Mine Conference, the pre-conference. It's about $125 for 8 hours of training. It's a great thing. So I just wanted to advertise it.
One of those. Thank you.
Anything else? Just want to say that we're getting rolling with the new season, new session. So we've got the team in place for the next couple of years with the way we manage the presidents and the executive team and all that stuff. We're still kind of closing out the previous year, and we're going to be announcing what's coming up next year. Tom has some really good ideas and wants to take us to the next level. So we expect, looking forward to working with him on that. So just look out for announcements. We'll be having, of course, these meetings, and we're hoping to have some other things, looking in construction, looking into, maybe we need to look around for animals in the workplace. But I think it's going to be a good year when it comes to some different things that'll be coming up. So keep your ears open. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and dismiss. We do have lunch for everybody here, and we're going to go ahead and shut off the Zoom and fellowship a little bit. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, that's okay. Last minute construction meeting, I'm on construction.